My name is Art Russell, and I came to know Dr. Lim because I had been diagnosed with trigeminal neuralgia. And for those that don't know, it's an extreme pain across the three nerves that run across your face. And when I came to meet him, I was in extreme pain and I was seeking help. And it was actually quite a miracle that we found him just because I live in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And when we did a search for an expert in trigeminal neuralgia, Dr. Lim's name came up. And I was excited to see that he was here in Owasso, Oklahoma, very close to where I live. And it just so happens, too, that they were able to get me in the same day that I was trying to get to see him. And when I came to see him, he went ahead and did a CT scan of my entire head to find out what might be the problem. And in talking with him and discussing in detail the different physical aspects, which I'm not qualified to talk too much about, but what we learned from that was that previously when I was back in my 30s, I had a disease called Cushing's disease. And in that disease, we found out that it has a lot to do with the pituitary gland. And trigeminal neuralgia is an effect of possibly a bad bite. But also, Cushing's disease could have also been a problem with a bad bite. And so there was a potential that, hey, that Cushing's disease might have been prevented if I had had my bite corrected earlier. But my current problem with the pain and trigeminal neuralgia was to see Dr. Lim and find out if he could help me. And he sure was able to find out the problem because as he dug deeper into the situation, he did find out that I did have a bad bite, but he also found out that I had a bad tooth. And so I had a highly infected tooth that was so deep that it was up into the nerve area, and it was setting off these three trigeminal nerves and causing that pain. And so once he knew the diagnosis, it was really easy to fix the problem. He put me on some antibiotics, and the pain went away within about a day or so. And what I remember from that is that we ended up taking that tooth out. And when we looked at the tooth, it had very deep rooted infection deep into the top of my jaw. And there was actually not too much bone up in that area where he had pulled that out. Now, another thing I wanted to touch on that as the story kind of progressed is that as I came to see Dr. Lim and further the treatment, I found out that Dr. Lim specializes in what they call bite correction. And I decided to go ahead and go through with that. And the step that I decided to do, there was two options. One option was to actually grow the face forward and move that jaw. The other option was to put veneers on the front, but I took the more of the physical approach and the healthy approach, which is to basically grow the bone forward, which at the same time kind of lessens the bone in the back, so that your jaw ends up moving forward and correcting the way your teeth come together, which also affects a lot in your body that I never would have guessed. It affects the way your posture is. It affects the way that for me, it affected the way I slept. I had stages of not sleeping well and having problems with not being able to get good, true rest at night. And I believe it's totally related to getting my bite corrected, because once I started to see Dr. Lim, I was able to sleep better. And that wasn't something that Dr. Lim had told me would happen, but it's something that definitely did happen. And now today I sleep very well. And I'm not even through the entire process, as you can see, with the braces in my mouth. But another thing I wanted to touch on was the fact that when I first came to see Dr. Lim, he hooked me up to some equipment that tested to see how well I could swallow and some other items too. But the swallowing seemed to be a really big problem for me, as shown by the instrumentation. But I had never really been aware of it because my swallowing, I had always lived with it. But then once he put in a prosthetic to adjust my bite, to basically show me what it would be like to have the correct bite, once that happened, I was able to see what it was like to swallow like a normal person again. And it was much better than what it had been before. So the two things I hit on were being able to sleep better and being able to swallow better. And at the same time, correcting the bite, my posture got better. I stood up straighter, my shoulders rolled back more, and I was able to have a better, healthy overall experience in life. And so I guess that's the end result is better quality of life by doing some medical treatment that's natural and growing your face forward to achieve a better, more natural bite.